a trade dispute is rapidly turning into a political and diplomatic confrontation between two of the largest economies in the Americas. Brazil has condemned a new decision by the United States to impose tariffs on a range of Brazilian imports, accusing Washington of using pressure to force political concessions. The move comes at a particularly sensitive moment, with Brazil preparing for a presidential election campaign and tensions already growing between President Lula da Silva and allies of former President Bolsonaro. The US says the tariffs are in response to what it describes as unfair Brazilian trade practices. The measures are due to take effect within days, and they will place a 25% duty on selected Brazilian goods entering the American market. Washington argues that Brazil has failed to address long-standing concerns over market access, digital trade rules, intellectual property protections, and other economic issues. But in Brazil, many see something very different. Critics argue that this is far more than about trade. They believe the dispute has become entangled with domestic Brazilian politics. The future of Bolsonaro's political movement and the growing disagreements between Washington and Brasilia over issues ranging from technology regulation to national sovereignty. President Lula has reacted angrily. He has accused the United States of trying to dictate terms to Brazil and has vowed that the country will never be intimidated. For Lula, the dispute is becoming a test of national pride as much as economic policy. His government argues that Brazil has engaged in negotiations and provided evidence to challenge the American accusations. Yet, despite months of talks, the tariffs are moving ahead. The stakes are enormous. The US remains one of Brazil's most important trading partners. Billions of dollars in goods move between the two countries every year. Any disruption risks affecting manufacturers, exporters, farmers, and workers on both sides of the Atlantic. Even though some products have been exempt from the new measures, businesses are warning of uncertainty and rising costs. For ordinary Brazilians, however, this story is more than about economics. Many see it as part of a wider struggle over Brazil's place in the world. Should the country follow the priorities of Washington, or should it pursue a more independent path through organisations such as BRICS and partnerships across the global south? Those questions have become central to Brazilian politics and are likely to dominate debate in the months ahead. The danger is that what began as a disagreement over tariffs could evolve into something much larger. Relations between the two countries have already become increasingly strained. Public rhetoric is hardening. Political rivalry are trading accusations, and both governments are under pressure not to appear weak. For now, neither side appears ready to back down. And as the tariffs move closer to taking effect and the trade dispute is beginning to look more like a battle over influence and sovereignty and power in the Americas.
What makes this dispute particularly significant is the broader geopolitical backdrop. Brazil is no longer simply a regional power. It is one of the leading voices in BRICS and has increasingly sought to position itself as an independent actor on the global stage. Lula has pushed for stronger ties with emerging economies and has often argued that countries should not be forced to choose between major powers. That growing independence has not always been welcomed in Washington. The disagreements extend beyond trade. There have been tensions over the regulation of social media platforms, the influence of American technology companies, digital payment systems, and broader questions about economic sovereignty. Some analysts believe the tariff dispute reflects a deeper struggle over who sets the rules in the global economy. The political dimension is impossible to ignore. With Brazil moving toward another election, the dispute has become ammunition for both sides. Lula portrays the tariffs as an attack on Brazil's sovereignty. His opponents argue that his government's policies have damaged relations with a critical economic partner. For investors, the concern is uncertainty. Businesses can adapt to tariffs. What they struggle with is unpredictability. If tensions continue to escalate, companies may delay investments, shift supply chains, or seek alternative markets. That means the consequences could extend far beyond trade figures and government statements. They could affect jobs, growth, and confidence across Latin America's largest economy.
The coming weeks will reveal whether this dispute becomes a short-term disagreement or the start of a deeper economic confrontation. Negotiations may still reduce tensions. Both governments have strong reasons to avoid a prolonged trade war. But if neither side backs down, the effects could spread far beyond diplomatic circles. Businesses will face uncertainty, investors will become cautious, workers will worry about their futures, and families may find themselves paying more for everyday goods. Long after the headlines fade, the true measure of this dispute may not be political victories or trade statistics. It may be the impact on ordinary lives. This is Breaking Silence. 3 stories, different countries, the same struggle. In India, questions over transparency. In Kenya, families demanding justice. In Brazil, workers fearing the impact of a trade war. Different battles, one reality. Ordinary people living with decisions they never made. These are the stories the powerful would rather keep in the shadows. Stay safe, stay compassionate, and until next time, keep watching, keep caring. And if you missed any part of today's show, be sure to go to our YouTube channel, Asia One News. I'm Craig Vermay, and you've been watching Breaking Silence.